Greetings from Pandora. Welcome to A Vault Hunter's Guide to the Borderlands, the best Borderlands podcast on the Echo Net. I'm Drew.
I'm Jeff.
Thanks for joining us today for episode number 29, where today we're going to be talking about the takedown at the Guardian Breach and the new Bounty of Blood DLC gameplay. But first, just a quick reminder that you can always get in contact with us via Twitter at VaultHuntersPod or through our email at vaulthuntersguide@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us record the podcast live at twitch.tv/vaulthuntersguide.
Yeah.
Woo! Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I am doing good. I gotta admit, and you're probably very aware of this because we've talked about it a few times. I've not been in the Borderlands too much recently. So, wow. Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Jeff's quitting the podcast and Borderlands completely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've decided.
Absolutely not.
I've decided to take up a new life where I make money by hanging up pickles in people's garage.
Step one, hang pickles.
Step two, step three, profit.
Yeah.
Think you're missing a couple steps there, bud. Nah.
Nah, not at all.
No,
all right, cool.
No, but I've been, like you said, I've just needed to step back for a little bit because I've been like all in on it for a while and stuff, and I need to find something else to occupy a little bit of time. So I've been playing a lot of guitar, and I've also been playing a lot of Jedi Fallen Order. So,
nice.
Yeah. Sorry, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. In case that wasn't clear.
Right. Yeah, I still been playing Borderlands. The meta keeps kind of shifting and stuff. So like, there's still like, even though there wasn't a level cap increase or anything like that, there's still reasons to refarm gear and everything. So I've been doing that, but also kind of branching out a little and playing. I've been playing a little Grim Dawn.
Been playing some Stardew too, right? Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Stardew's like just so like casual and relaxing, you know?
Sure. That's fair.
It's a nice follow up to like playing Borderlands and not getting the right anointment on a drop, you know, for the 30th time in a row, and you're like, I'm gonna mellow out, plant some crops, you know?
No, it's totally fair.
So
I'm looking at getting back into Borderlands again, you know, now that stuff is kind of, like you said, it's kind of changed a little bit, and we're kind of getting to a point where it will be a little bit more consistent with what's going on, and a little bit more, I guess things that people are looking to get to are going to be a little bit more attainable is kind of the overall idea. So
yeah.
So that's good. So, and there were a lot of good things to come out of this Guardian Takedown event and everything like that. So, but yeah, that was kind of the only thing that I did. Was I know that you and Beth and I played a little bit, just kind of getting some stuff a little bit more ready, and just kind of getting back in the feel of things for getting ready for the Guardian Takedown. So,
and then none of it fucking mattered.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Should we just jump right into it and start talking about that?
Hell yeah, dude. Let's get into it.
Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you have played this, because on the day of recording this, it is currently Saturday, the June 13th. So, and basically the takedown came out a few days ago on Thursday. That's why we decided to push back the episode, was so we could have this one ready to go, and then we're going to have another one next week as well for those people listening. So you're going to get 2 episodes within the span of 2 weeks. We're going to get back on track. It's going to work out great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did a little bit of farming. We kind of got ready and everything like that. We knew that it was going to be Guardians, and so we're like, all right, let's get our Q systems. Let's get our
brainstormers.
Brainstormers, all that kind of good
Hell
stuff.
Shocks.
Yeah, Hell Shocks, AAAs, all that kind of stuff. We'll get all that stuff ready to go. And as Drew said, it didn't really matter, and that's actually the first point that we come up to on here. So let's kind of take it this way. So you start the takedown just the same way you would with the previous one. You go into Sanctuary, you can grab it there. You can grab the takedown mission there, and you
after
fly.
You've completed the main story.
Correct. After you've completed the main story, and you navigate the ship to a completely new area called Minos Prime. and Minos Prime is its own separate area. It doesn't seem to be related to anything else because only the takedown happens there, and it doesn't seem like it's related to anything else. So you go down, you land, you choose, whether you want to be true takedown or regular takedown, and then you go in.
True takedown or like scaled?
Yeah, true takedown or scaled takedown. So you go in, and the very first thing is some trash mobs from Necrotafeo. So, the Mantas and the Koraxes and the Jiras, all those kind of things. We attempted it right away at Mayhem 6, I think.
Yes. Yep.
And we quickly learned what was going on. So, Drew, what was our very first point that we made when we were making our bullet points for this?
Yeah, mobs is healthy boys.
Yeah.
And just for the record, like, girls can be boys, It's just the
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Healthy boys. I mean, the mobs are way more tanky than we expect. Than I think literally anybody expected.
Yeah, really. And here's the key point to that. We, obviously we're, Drew and I always talk about content creators. We are technically content creators. However, that is not our job. We still have full-time jobs and everything. So we're just doing this because we like Borderlands and we wanted to bring, some Borderlands content in a way that we felt we would be apt to bring it to you. So we don't, we're not looking at this from the perspective of us having perfect gear. I will say that we've probably farmed quite a bit, as much as many other hardcore players would have. It didn't really matter. Like that very first mob, we were already getting low on ammo, and this is with the amount of ammo that we have in our backpacks maxed out.
Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't want to dwell on this particular topic too much, because again, it came out Thursday, and last night, as of recording, like Friday night, according to Killer 6 and Jolt Dude 139, they had already been in talks with Gearbox, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna take that down a notch, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Which is fantastic, because oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so that's really really good news.
It's really telling about where it was.
Yeah, it was. It's actually posted yesterday in the Discord server, in the Borderlands Discord server at 10:30 last night. Takedown at the Guardian Breach issues identified. Fixes will start being rolled out next week. Don't have more to share at this time. We can confirm that the community voice regarding the latest takedown and update has been heard. Changes based on community feedback are being worked on and are going to be rolling out next week. This does include changes coming for enemy health within the takedown. If you experience any bugs or have any feedback to give, make sure you submit them through the support link below. Yada yada. So that's super good. I mean, kudos to anybody who's been able to solo it on Mayhem really. 10,
or honestly on any difficulty.
yeah. There's gonna be it's kind of funny because with all the changes and everything that happened to this game so frequently, I'm just looking forward to the people that, like the old guard, when Borderlands 5 is out or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, I played Borderlands 3 back in the days of the original version of the Guardian Takedown. They had 400% more health than they do now,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. Kind of ridiculous. And like Drew said, we don't want to dwell on that. But one thing I'd kind of like to talk about that we hadn't really discussed beforehand, so I hope this goes all right, is, Drew, based on your thinking, so we had one takedown, and everyone really seemed to enjoy it, and we didn't really have any hiccups with the first takedown, except for, there was some difficulty type stuff, but it was to the point to where, that was when they brought the scaled version of it out and everything, and that really seemed to work pretty well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so why do you have any insights or do you have any thoughts about why you think they just like totally buffed enemy health in this one so much then?
My only guess is the possibility that it's kind of like some of the other content creators have been saying, like when we got the Maliwan Takedown, initially it was fairly difficult for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Now homies are speedrunning it, you know.
Yep.
Like sub 5 minute takedowns and shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So I think I don't know. I don't know if Gearbox was just like, look, we need to really amp up the difficulty for this. But like that's not what we were really looking for, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you want to make things difficult, you can give yourself artificial difficulty by limiting yourself. You know, Epic NNG doing doing the Maliwan takedown with only an ice burger.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that.
Sure.
That's fun and interesting stuff. But like, if you're maxed out with all your normal gear and everything, and you can't even get halfway through this thing, like that's a bit much, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were playing for the first time the other night, and granted we've only completed this thing once, right?
Yeah.
And we were literally about halfway through it, and I was like, I don't care if I never play this again.
Right. Yeah.
And
I think the majority of it was because of due to the health of the mobs was the biggest part of it. So again, I know we've said this a few times already, and I promise we're not trying to dwell on it, but it is interesting. I just don't want this to see a similar situation where I'm nervous that they're balancing. I'm nervous that Gearbox may be balancing things around that, like, 0.001% of players who are speedrunning things or whatever. Because because that's kind of thing I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to see it where it's like the person that is the best at playing it and they have the means to play it really well, whether it's on like a high-end PC or whatever, and they have the time to get perfect rolls on everything for all your anointments on every piece of gear you have and everything like that. And I don't want to see that person be the person that they're averaging it around. And that makes me nervous because then that leads to a similar situation where like every raid boss in Borderlands 2 was balanced around a Salvador using a grog nozzle and a double penetrating uncombed herald that had like perfect stuff on it.
Yeah. Yep.
And eventually people got that figured out, but it wasn't like it's one of those things where, and I know this is weird and it's kind of cheating to say this, but so much of this game feels like it would be very different if we didn't have the internet. And I know that's a dumb thing to say, but it's like there are so many people that wouldn't be figuring these strats out and they would be locked out of parts of the game if they weren't able to go and look stuff like that up on the internet. But they can, obviously, so they do.
That's super, super true. And I had not even I hadn't even thought about that fact, but you're right. I mean, with not with podcasts, because we are the only Borderlands podcast, and like we are somewhere above casual,
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, but I mean, like, we're not given any like, astounding, game breaking, new things.
Mm-hmm.
But between like Discord servers and YouTube channels and Twitch streams and shit.
Yeah. And
like,
even people, tweeting stuff out with each other and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not
and I'm sure, like people finding like builds on Reddit and stuff like that too,
Oh yeah, absolutely. It makes it really you're right, it like feeds into itself and just helps make it better, But like like we said the other night, like I'm not super into doing the whole like crazy hardcore shit. Like that's not my jam in video games.
Sure.
what I like in games a lot is like feeling super powerful and just wrecking shit, you know.
So like your jam would be like farming stuff in Mayhem 10 and then taking it to like Mayhem 2.
I mean,
something like that.
No, I like having Mayhem 10 stuff and wrecking Mayhem 10 shit. You know, like
Okay.
like right now I've got a setup for my flak where I can go in and kill Gigamind in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really, really fun for me. But if I take that same build and I go fight, you know...
Oh, you were talking about like Ista the other night.
Oh, yeah, like struggled against Ista hard, you know? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, like, it's a good build. It needs some fine-tuning, and I need to get some gear to balance around how to take out Ista, you know? And I need some stuff to make it a more well-rounded build, you know?
No, that's totally fair.
But, like, I'm never going to be interested in, like, soloing the Guardian Takedown on M10 in true takedown mode. That's not me.
Right.
I am enjoying... I actually have been getting more into doing the Maliwan Takedown lately because I'm finally getting to a point to where my gear is fairly well balanced for there, and it's still a bit of a challenge, you know, but I enjoy it. So.
Right. So that being said, then, you know what? I'm going to wait on that and asking that. We'll get into it. So, the takedown was not like... So with the takedown came some other interesting things. There came some new weapons with that, too. There came some new gear. Just as a heads up for you guys, we're not doing a going gun this week. Instead, we are going to be talking about the 6 new weapons that are in the Guardian Takedown. Drew, do you want to take the first one then?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
So the first thing, and by the way, we're all just taking this completely from Mental Mars. Go check Mental Mars out.
Please do. They're a great resource.
Yeah, you know, whitelist them on your ad blocker.
Yeah, all that stuff.
For reals. So the first thing we're going to go with is... You set me up for this one. Like, I want to say it's pronounced the Asclepius. Yeah? Aesclepius. I'm going to go with Asclepius.
I'm either going to say, Asclepius or Asclepius. One of those two.
Yeah, that sounds dumb.
It does. I mean, either way it sounds dumb, but continue.
So anyways, the Asclepius is a legendary shield that you get from the takedown. The red text says, always carry a small snake. Okay. It gives you plus 50% resistance to elemental effects while depleted, and spawns 2 additional shield components, like, you know, absorb or reflect or whatever. Mm-hmm. Has an increased chance to drop from Anathema the Relentless. She is they are the mid, you know, the mini boss. Can you even call it a mini boss? It's like a mid boss.
It is. Know? It's like a mid boss, yeah. I'll give you
so, anyways, it's made by Anshin. It seems pretty decent. I don't know. Probably give it to. I don't know if it'd be good for anyone in particular. I mean, elemental resistance is pretty good all the way around. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Moving on, we have the Globetrotter, which is basically, if you guys have ever used the boring gun in this game, this is like a good version of that.
Yeah, similar but better.
Yeah, similar but better. So yeah, it is the Globetrotter. The special weapon effect, or the red text on that one, is Alenheim Stutut Hernja Fire Mig, whatever that means.
So Jolt did a video on it and said that it's something in Icelandic. I don't remember what, though.
That would make sense. It looks Icelandic.
It looks like gobbledygook is what it looks like.
I mean, yeah, but that's, you know.
Looks like made up bullshit.
Wow. We did harsh it up on Iceland.
Anyway. Iceland. Oh, man.
I think we actually have some followers in Iceland.
I'm just playing.
I know. So
They're all
anyway, so it does get increased splash damage radius because of this, and it fires 3 elemental saw blades that shoot up after a set distance, where they will explode in midair. There is also a variant that is ×6 that consumes 2 armor per shot, where the saw blades bounce 2 times before exploding. So once again, this has an increased chance to drop from Scourge the Invincible during the Guardian Takedown on Minos Prime. So, and if I remember right, it looks like it. Yeah, if I remember right, this one can come in any element, I think, right?
I genuinely don't remember.
So, anyway, maybe it's just fire, but either way. So yeah, Drew, what else we got on there?
First of all, what we got is hold on. I gotta do one other quick thing here.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm trying to see.
Super
I'm trying to see
professional streamers, podcasters.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah. I genuinely wanted to see if we have ever had any downloads from Iceland.
Wow. Okay.
If not, then I could just shit all over them.
Wow.
Yeah! I can. No downloads from Iceland. Suck it, Iceland!
All right, fair enough.
All right, so next we've got the Light Speed. It is a Hyperion grenade mod. It's always longbow, and on impact, it's going to shoot out additional grenades that travel further. So, what you kind of want to do is like throw it at the enemy's feet, and then have it like hit there to hit them, and then hit stuff behind them. So,
yeah. So,
and that can come in. Let's see, every element. Red text says, "Give me a parsec."
Right. So, nice. So yeah, I mean, I would say
that
one.
Oh, sorry, and it has a chance to draw from Anathema as well.
Right. So that one, I would say, I mean, obviously anything elemental is going to be good for Amara, just as long as you build on it. So, and I would also say that that's probably going to be really good for Flak as well, with it splitting. You'd have just that many more chances to get that proc for Megavore.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Going further, we also have, what else do we have? We have the Smog. The Smog is an SMG. It is a Hyperion SMG. So it gives your projectiles an amp damage increase while you're aiming down the sight, and your weapon shield is at max capacity. So it basically doubles your damage output as long as your shield is undamaged, which is pretty sick. So, in the notes here,
sick, but like, sorry, go ahead.
In the notes here, it does say that Flak and Zane can easily utilize the weapon with their action skills, since Flax can use it with when in fadeaway or when their pet is taunting, and Zane can hide behind his own barrier shield to protect this weapon's shield from taking damage. So,
yeah, that seems like the ideal situation to me, to have the thing up, to have barrier up and be using it behind there. Frankly, though, like, the damage is still not amazing from what I've seen. The best, like, with we're going to get into this in a sec, but there was a bunch of buffs to other SMGs, and a lot of them are doing more damage than the Smog is.
Right, yep. So it does also come in any element there: incendiary, corrosive shock, cryo radiation, all that good stuff. So, and the special weapon effect on there says Haze Amaze.
Haze Amaze.
Once again, this is something that can drop from the Scourge.
All right, so next we've got the Stinger. It's a legendary pangolin shield. Why do I get all the shields and crap today?
Oh.
You did this on purpose.
You were the one that set them up.
So the Stinger increases melee damage by 50% when your shield is full. Returns damage when being meleeed while you're shielded. Has fixed components: Stinger, Melee Nova, and Spike. So, pretty solid for Amara if you're trying to do the Amara melee build, which can, frankly, like, use a bit of help at endgame.
Yeah.
So it has an increased chance to drop from Anathema the Relentless.
There you go. So, and last, but possibly least, we have the web slinger. So obviously, if that wasn't enough of a giveaway that this is a reference to Spider-Man, the special weapon effect says, "Let's do this one last time." For those of you that watched Into the Spider-Verse, you know that that's kind of like, a running joke throughout the thing. So, Drew, have you seen that movie yet?
I've not. My family watched it. I don't know, quite a while back, and I think that I was like out playing Magic or something.
Bunch of jerks.
even my wife was like, "Yo, you gotta watch that movie. It's mad good."
Nice.
And she said it just like that because that's how she talks.
Clearly. Anyway.
For sure.
So the reason it's called the web slinger is it's a Vladov rocket launcher, and it slings a web of projectiles that have a chance to trigger novas on scoring a critical hit. So,
yeah, it literally looks like you're shooting out like 3 things of silly string.
Yeah.
Like simultaneously that are like all swirling around and shit.
Right. So pretty cool looking. It does not come in cryo, unfortunately, so probably not the best thing for Zane. But yeah, no, looks pretty cool, and get to be Spider-Man in that whole thing. Speaking of, shout outs to that Spider-Man trailer in the PS5 event that came out recently. So, hell yeah.
Yeah, that looks cool. I picked up the 2018 Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Game of the Year edition's on sale for $20 right now. I don't know if it still is, but it was when I got it.
So there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
those are
the
huge flashback to playing Spider-Man 2 on PS2 and just swinging through town and shit.
Right. Absolutely. So anyway, so those are the new weapons, or those are the new items that are in the game. Out of all of those, I would say that probably, I don't know. Out of all those, I would. What's that?
Globetrotter.
Yeah, Globetrotter would be like the thing. So, yeah, that would be what I'd be looking for. Although I think you could do some fun stuff with both the light speed and the smog as well. So, depends on how you do it. But so those are some of the things that you can get from it. So, kind of getting back into the takedown itself. So again, the first section we talked about a lot is the trash mobs from Nectar to Fail, and then there's an introduction to these crystal mechanics. So you defeat the first wave of enemies, and then there's these crystals that are there. Straight up, for anyone that has played Destiny, especially in like Destiny 1 back in the day, this is the same thing as like the rings that you need to stand on for Vault of Glass. That's the same, same thing. Stand there, defend these points, don't let the enemies on them, don't leave them. That's the whole idea. So you got to charge these up to move to the next area. So we do that. There's kind of 3 consistent things that we run into. So the first section is the trash mobs and everything, and then the next thing after that is jumping puzzles, which I didn't think was going to be like nearly as in depth as it was throughout the entirety of the takedown. And especially because, and I'm going to be honest, and she's going to hate me for saying this, my wife sucks at jumping puzzles. She's really not good at them. So there were so many times where, like, back in the day when her and I would be playing Destiny and we'd be doing like a raid or whatever, and she wouldn't die to enemies like ever at all, or bosses or whatever. She would die to the jumping puzzles in between them though, all the time.
Which so just so everyone has an idea of how this went down, I guess we can kind of recount this at the end. But
because it was dumb.
A hilarious story about about how this all went down when we played together.
Right.
So anyways, jumping puzzle 1, then the crystals, and the crystals we have guardians, and then we have fortified heralds, which are have big orb things on their heads that explode when they get near you, and those guys suck. And then your standard mix of wraiths and other guardians and shit. So then you go to jumping puzzle 2, where you have the false well, and that's when you drop way down. You have to do the jump. You have to kill a bunch of guys, then do a jumping puzzle, and then fall down this chimney-looking thing, basically.
Yeah.
So you fall down that, and then that's when you've got Anathema, the Relentless, the mid-boss. Yeah. That fight was a lot of fun.
That fight was a lot of fun, and it took us a little bit to actually kind of figure it out. As Drew's saying, the whole process of us finishing this thing was really weird. And I know this sounds really dumb. I found out a lot about myself as a person from doing this takedown.
Yeah? I'll
Yeah.
bet you did, because you had a lot of time to reflect, considering you didn't do a whole lot of playing during this.
No, I didn't. I was dying so much, and I can't figure out why. But it was super dumb, and I was not excited about it. But the thing that I found out was I was really good at coaching you guys about what to do and figuring stuff out. Be like, all right, I got this figured out. You need to do this, and you need to do this.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sitting there viewing them in spectator mode, and I just was I would die immediately almost in certain spots, and then be like, all right, mechanics, here's what it is. I got it figured out. Do this.
Right. So then after Anathema,
Whoa, hold on. Let's talk about Anathema and how it works a little bit.
all right, so Anathema is more jumping puzzles, but it's different than that, because Anathema has like a radiation orb that does, or not an orb, because the fortified heralds have orbs like on their heads that are like energy or whatever.
Yeah, and
Anathema
actually,
has like a radiation aura that like expands around it.
yeah. So I know this is weird. I'm gonna jump back a little bit because we really didn't spend much time on it. So in the crystal sections, so like I said, the very first area, you figure out how the crystals work. In the second one with the fortified heralds, what it is and how it works is you have to stand by these crystals, because I'm assuming that some people haven't done this yet or whatever. You have to stand by these crystals, and you have to be within a certain area of them. It's like a square that's on the ground to charge them up, and you got to get all of however many are in the area charged up.
Yeah, sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
Right. So the key important factors to this are that there's the fortified heralds, which, as Drew said, have like the big orbs on their heads, and those are the only spot you can really damage them. But if they get too close to you, they explode, they do a ton of damage, everything like that, and that's all they do is they just walk towards you and explode. They're kind of like the suicide psychos, like on steroids, basically.
Yeah, there you go.
So the other big point about this is if you are on a pad, if you're on a pad and you like a crystal pad, and you go to step off of it, eventually that will explode just of its own volition and do like a wipe. So once you start on one, you have to stay on it. So the idea and what we eventually figured out is the best way to go about it is for everyone to move onto one crystal pad, stay there, defend it as quickly as you can, especially because the more people that you have on it, the quicker it goes, and then just move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. There's no like time limit or anything like that on the takedown, so you might as well just be safe about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that, and then that, like we said, that takes you to Anathema, which doesn't have any crystals or anything like that. So Drew, you were saying that there's kind of like an aura that Anathema puts out, right?
Yeah, so Anathema has this radiation aura that's that'll mess you up real bad. Mm-hmm. And it's simple in that stay away from the aura, Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, Anathema also has like these other like projections, like Anathema's shadow, and they can also do a smaller version of these auras. And basically there's just 5 platforms that you kind of bounce around between, and when you are not getting shot, or when you're not getting blown up by these auras, then you need to be shooting Anathema. It's really a super straightforward, like as far as mechanics go, it's pretty straightforward. It's just, it can be tricky because you'll be in transit from one platform to another, and then a shadow will move, and you're like, shit.
Right. So you got to try and get to another one really quickly or whatever. So.
Right. So funny thing about this, Jeff and Beth were both dead for the majority of this fight.
Yeah.
So it was just your boy here, but it was so helpful to have you guys spectating, because like I'd go into Fight for Your Life, and you're like, there's a dude right, directly to your right, mm-hmm. And so I'd be able to swing to my right and light him up and get up and keep going again, or like, and you guys were also keeping an eye out for,
Like the
oh,
shadows.
you got to get off that platform, you
Yeah.
know, and I'd be headed to the next one. They're like, oh, one just appeared there. Go to the next one, or go back to the one you were just on, or whatever. It was a struggle, but I pulled it off and finished off Anathema, so that was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. The fight itself is really fun, and nothing weird here. That's kind of where we kind of landed all as a group, is that these boss fights and the mechanics behind them, and even the idea of the crystals itself, those are very fun mechanics, but they've been kind of ruined and put a bad taste in our mouth right off the bat about just the sheer amount of health that the mobs had. So
yeah, not only that, but like there are some tricky things about the crystals, because like we didn't realize that if you start charging a crystal and then you hop off of there, it'll start to lose its charge.
Mm-hmm.
And if the charge goes down all the way, insta death.
Yeah, for everybody, it's just like a wipe.
Yeah. So that really, like, I thought we were doing fine, and then all of a sudden we were just all respawning, and we're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be honest, part of that was like, part of that was just the fact that, I'm used to that style of mechanic from Destiny, where it was okay if you got off of like the pads and, went and helped somebody else with theirs. So that, so I was used to that anyway. But again, we know that
I think next time we do this, it should just be like all of us on one pad. You know?
Yeah, that's the strats. So and I think that's the idea. And again, I know we keep on talking about it, but we know that they're going to be bringing down the health of those mobs. So that's fine, and we're totally cool with that.
Well, I mean, we know that they're going to be at least doing the trash mobs. Like, I hope they bring down the health of the Guardians and Heralds and stuff too.
Yeah.
Because like there's nothing really, in my opinion, there's nothing really rewarding about doing that part.
No, it's there's no let me put it this way. There's no challenge between fighting something when the only difference is how many shots it takes to bring it down, if that makes sense.
Yes, exactly. Definitely.
So,
So anyways, after Anathema, we got to Crystal Section 2. So same thing, but with a bit more jumping involved.
Yeah.
And that's when Jeff and I died.
Yeah, exactly. So the first one, all of the crystals were on one area. They were on one like plane, just with like like flat area, like stairs, whatever. The other ones, this one had jumping platforms in between each one. So, and that was kind of a pain. Again, we weren't doing as good as we could. And I'm going to get more into the whole dying thing here in a little bit too. But so at that point, yeah, Drew and I both died, and we were doing the same thing that Beth and I had done for Drew. We were coaching her through, being like, "Hey, you got, like for anyone that's watched, for anyone that's watched any of the games done quick or anything like that, we were just like orb, as like an orb guy would come out and stuff like that. So
we didn't know that they were fortified heralds at that point. We didn't catch their names, so we're just like orb man over there.
Yeah, exactly. So she went down a couple of times, but was able to get back up. She did a killer job. And we were hoping that at some point before the final boss after that we were going to get back up. Not so.
Nope.
So immediately after Crystal Section 2 then is an enemy is the final boss called Scourge the Invincible Martyr, which, first of all, I hate that name. I hate it. Because you can't both be invincible and be a martyr at the same time, because that's not how martyrdom works.
I mean, you're not wrong, but like I feel like you're getting hung up on that a little bit.
It's like, I know that they're trying to do things where it's like the idea behind the names that that these things have, it's always something like just off, and it's like maybe we lost something in translation, but it's like, all right, clearly within that name, we missed something large.
I can't wait to fight, Terry the Jumbo Shrimp.
Yeah, exactly. God. Want that fight now though? That sounds sick.
He's Cromrax's cousin.
Damn. Anyway, so again, we're gonna get into the mechanics, but the Scourge fight, from what we could see, looks really fun. You know, lots of kind of in-depth mechanics about how it worked and everything like that. It built upon mechanics that we were already aware of, and then gave good visual cues of what was coming next. So, Drew, do you want to kind of talk about how the mechanics of Scourge worked a little bit?
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of fortified heralds there, and really it's a pretty standard boss fight. You know, there's projectiles flying at you and stuff like that. The really exceptional part of the fight is whenever Scourge has their own orb on top of their head, or disc, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it glows really, really brightly before it explodes and messes you up real bad. Yeah. So the idea is to get behind the pillars that are there, which has been a theme in Borderlands 3, you know, just kind of, hey, stay behind the pillar, avoid. Shit, it's been a theme since Borderlands 1 when you're fighting the Destroyer and he's doing the giant laser beam thing with his eye. It's like, hey, guess what? Stay behind the pillar. So, it's just a staple of the Borderlands franchise as a whole, I guess.
Yeah.
Thick-Fillet, our boy, you know, friend of the pod, actually had a really good point about when doing that part to try to get the other fortified heralds that are there to be on the opposite side of Scourge, so they are like walking into Scourge when Scourge does his big orb explosion thing.
Yeah.
So, like,
actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know why we didn't think of that, but you know, we were just kind of in the moment, and so Beth was like, you know, peeking around pillars and picking off fortified heralds. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's super cool fight. Really interesting. Scourge will also do this thing where they, you know, when Troy does his thing shooting out the orbs that go horizontally and horizontally and vertically.
Yeah.
Scourge has the same thing that only goes horizontally, but they're like, I don't even know how to describe them. Like interlocking razor kind of things.
Well, they look like links from his chain whip thing.
Yeah, there you go. So there's those which you kind of can step between or jump over or whatever. Overall, like, the bossing is the best part of this. Frankly, I really enjoyed the platforming too.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that at all. That was a lot of fun. It's really just the mobs that need to be fixed.
Which
mobs.
They are. So.
Right. Trash mobs and guardian mobs alike. You know, that's pretty much it. When we wrapped this up on Thursday, when we finished the playthrough, we kind of summed it up saying, if they just like cut the mob's health in half and doubled the charge rate of the crystals, this would be it would be perfect. You know?
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, that's about it. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into it more, but as Drew said, I don't really have much of a desire to right now. I am looking forward to doing it again. I just until they adjust some things, it's kind of like, you know. Yeah,
right now it's just difficult for difficulty's sake. It's not fun for how we play Borderlands, you know. Right. And we're absolutely not disparaging or knocking anybody who's interested in that. Like, go watch, you know, Garwood and Moxie and Thick-Fillet and all these dudes, you know, solo this thing. It's really great to watch. Oh, that's another little tip. Like, the doors, not really doors, because they're like empty at the top. So go watch Garwood and Moxie and those guys, slip right through the tops of doors.
Speaking of Moxie, that was something that I heard that maybe this whole thing, I heard from like his community that maybe this whole thing was an accident, as far as like the scaling, because it seems like they might have actually made like regular Like they might have made the scaled takedown like true takedown.
Oh.
And so like the idea is like, all right, so you and I and Beth were doing it, right?
Sure.
Then the way that would work, because of the math and how that thing works, then instead of having it on 3-player difficulty, it would have had it on 3 times 4-player difficulty, so it would have been 12-player difficulty.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so
That would,
so then if you did it on like true takedown, you'd be doing it at 4-player times 4 difficulty, so it'd be 16-player difficulty.
oh my god. I could just see that as like a thing. They're like doing it in testing and stuff, and they're like, why is this so hard? You're like, oh, I think I tracked it down. I messed up a decimal. My bad.
Yeah.
I'll take care. I guarantee. I promise I'll get it taken care of before it ships, though. I swear.
Right.
I swear. And then they're like getting all the feedback, and they're like, Simmons, did you fix that decimal? And he's like, yeah. I don't know what's. Yeah, totally.
It's like they were planning on this before, before the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, quote unquote, happened, and then he's like,
Sure.
and then like all of a sudden, like as soon as he's watching like people do it on Twitch, as this programmer's doing, he's like, oh my god,
Oh no.
I forgot.
The decimal. So, and even with all the weapon buffs that we got, all the SMG buffs that we got, it was still hard. But
Yeah. Yeah, excited for that. So because there were, because along with the takedown, there were some other patch things. Drew, you were kind of the one that was telling me more about this. So, right?
Was I?
Yeah, you were telling me more about that. So, just about some of the. Well, first of all, I'll let you take the gun part of it, but there was a lot of stuff that happened that was really nice, which was they fixed Fight for Your Life and made it better by adding. So there's cooperative reviving, so that when more than one person is reviving a down player, they'll be revived faster, which is sweet. They slowed.
We did actually get to experience that a little bit the other night, because there was one, like it only happened once, but there was one time where you were healing Beth and she was about 50% health. Or, 50% revived, and then I hopped in, and then it just whoop, and it finished that up quick.
Right. So they did also slow down the movement speed of the downed player, which was huge. I was really happy about that, because you'd have to like follow people around, be like, stop moving.
Yeah. How many times have we done that in this game? Be like,
Oh.
I'm trying to heal you, slow down.
Yeah, so many. So, and then the radius of when that's interactive was increased as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that helps quite a bit. They did also add what mayhem level of weapons are, which is on the weapon card, which is fantastic. That's super helpful.
That's huge. I was able to get rid of so much crap.
Yeah, really. So yeah, and then they had a lot of just like optimizations and other quality of life things, just lots of stuff that addresses stability and improved optimization for like menu and item inspection and all that kind of stuff. They made a lot of that stuff a lot snappier and everything like that. So kind of a lot of big stuff. So yeah, and then let's see.
One low light is 300% above 300% damage above 90% health anoint didn't work properly, unfortunately. So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
So they quote unquote fixed that. So
yeah, kind of a bummer. So, but yeah, Drew, what do we have as far as like the weapons and stuff?
Yeah, so we had some buffs, we had some nerfs. Yeah, take the good with the bad, First, before we get into that, Mayhem scaling has changed slightly also. They took Mayhem 10. Mayhem 10 previously was 12,000, Health Shields and Armor was at 12,500%.
Right.
And now it's been adjusted down to 10,000%. And the curve from 7 to 10 has been adjusted accordingly.
Right.
So that's probably good, because frankly it was all It was all OPQ systems, Monarchs, Plague Bearers, Backburners, all that
Yellow
stuff.
cakes.
Yellow cakes, yeah.
Speaking of the yellow cake.
Yeah, all right, so we'll get into the nerfs first. Surprise! The yellow cake was not working like it should have. What it did originally was the yellow cake shoots one projectile, splits into two, then splits those two into an additional two for a total of 4. If your yellow cake said that it did 40,000 damage, for example, the first shot would do 40,000 damage, okay? Mm-hmm. Then when it split into 2, those 2 also did 40,000 damage each.
Right.
Then when it split into 4, those 4 would do 40,000 damage each. So you'd have 160,000 damage, not 40. Mm-hmm. Now it's been fixed to where, quote unquote fixed, to where it's how it should be. 40, then 20, then 10.
Right.
So, which makes sense. We all kind of knew when we got our hands on the yellow cake that it was like, we're like, this doesn't seem right, but I'm going to play with this thing until they nerf it. Because we called it. We called it when it came out. We're like, it's going to get nerfed.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah. The other big nerf that we had was the Sandhawk, which was... So the Sandhawk was, according to them, was creating too many particle systems, which was creating issues with performance. So that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So they did also make it... They did bring it down a little bit just as far as damage and everything like that. So, it was way too much damage compared to other sniper rifles. So they increased the cost of it from 2 rounds to 3. And they've also removed 2 of the projectiles. But they did also... One thing that they did do was they also increased the accuracy spread on it. So to make up for the different... according to Gearbox... To make up for the difference for the missing projectiles, we've spread out the pattern so it still covers the same space. So you're having, in the same amount of space, you're having less projectiles now. So, and they have lowered the lifetime of those projectiles as well, so they're not going to go as far, but the speed is higher. So it's like they nerfed it, and overall it is a little bit worse than what it was, but it's still a pretty healthy sniper rifle overall.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a big deal.
Although, honestly, I still think they should have just kept it as an SMG because that would have worked a lot better.
Yeah, agreed. Just like if it was an SMG, then it would just have lower damage, and you could just spam away, and you'd use a fuck ton of ammo,
Done.
But whatever.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hits that I took was the Chaosin. Chaosin was providing more power than intended. Accuracy impulse increased, so... according to Gearbox, its accuracy allowed players to deal pinpoint damage, then had the explosive damage afterwards. Yep. So they have the accuracy. It has more of a spread when you fire it. The max accuracy has also been increased, so at full auto the spread proved exceedingly tight. They've increased that maximum accordingly. That really bums me out. For the simple fact that they also reduced the critical damage and base damage. So the Chaosin got buffs or got nerfs all the way around. Really bums me out because I had a Chaosin that was like 6,000 damage or something like that, which is already stupid high for a Chaosin.
Yeah.
And then I had the setup where it was the consecutive hits anoint, which on nice. Stackbot fadeaway flak is just bananas. Because you would get the stacks from the initial impact and then stacks from the explosions as well. Mm-hmm. So I was just wrecking face with the Chaosin, and now that thing is gone. I literally when I tried it out after the patch, it was garbage. So I sold it.
Right.
It was because now I can't get consecutive hits anymore. That's not a thing. So,
right.
However, we got a whole bunch of really cool buffs to original in-game SMGs, and here's what they are. It's increased weapon damage on the following. the Bitch, the Handsome Jackhammer, the Devoted, the Cloudkill, the Tsunami, the 10-gallon, the Ripper, and the Vanquisher. And they also increased bonus damage while sliding on the Vanquisher.
Yeah, and then it is also worth mentioning that the Ripper's damage is its melee damage, which is great because that was something that you and I had talked about, right? That was one of the things where it's like, hey, if you can't get this, then the Ripper was like one of our affordable quote unquote kind of things to get, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's all cool. I keep an eye on that Bitch. Those things are sweet.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, Beth was actually using one of those during the takedown too, and just wrecking face. So
yeah, definitely. So you just as a heads up, you get that from Tyrene. Most of the that's where you can farm for it is from Tyrene.
Yep.
That's a solid farm because from Tyrene you can get the King or Queen's Call, the Bitch, and the Auto Idol. So solid farm there. Not as time consuming as the Troy fight either.
Yeah. Would still like to see some of those things maybe be spread out to other enemies so that you can, have them a little bit more specific. But
100%.
Yeah, but if you're looking for stuff, then Tyrene's pretty good.
Yeah. Plus, if you're doing it on Mayhem 10, then you've got a chance at quite a few world drops and stuff too. So
yeah, absolutely,
that's pretty sweet. I had to explain that to my daughter the other day. I don't remember how it came up, but we were talking about farming for gear in Borderlands and stuff, and I explained to her. I was like, listen, if you wanted a sham in Borderlands 2, you go to the bunker. The bunker would pretty much only ever drop the Bitch or the sham. That was it.
Or that one weird legendary head.
Yeah, that's true. Which is what I got most of the time. But
right.
I was like, it's a 1 in 10 chance to drop either one of those,
Mm-hmm.
And even a bad sham even like a mediocre sham is pretty good,
Yeah.
If you're in the 80s or something, it's pretty good. I was like, but now, if they've got 3 or 4 drops, then you have a 1 in 10 chance for each one of those, and then a 25% chance of each of those. You know what I mean?
Right.
She was like, oh, okay. And I was like, and then there's the anointments, and there's like 30 weapon anointments and 30, other anointments. So now you're taking that chance and you've got a 1 in 30 of the anointment that you want. She was like, oh. It's like,
yeah.
It's like it's simple math, and the math sucks. So spread them drops.
Yeah, spread the love of your box.
We should make that a hashtag on Twitter in the BL3 community. Hashtag spread the drops.
Spread the drops. I like it. That sounds like someone that's trying to make like the next like rap. I don't know, like rap or hip hop type thing. Like, I don't know why. When you say spread the drops, like it sounds like Run the Jewels. Like,
It's like that Key and Peele sketch. Would be like, I put that pussy on the chain wax. Be like, that's not a thing. Yes, it is.
Anyway, we're already getting close to an hour here. That being said, we're going to go over some of our IGN and Gearbox and lots of the Borderlands content creators showed off gameplay footage from the new Bounty of Blood DLC. And we have just a couple of quick thoughts about it, and so we're going to go ahead and go over that. The very first thing it starts off with, if you look at it, it's about 15 minutes of gameplay, roughly. And the very first thing it starts off with is it starts you off in a brand new vehicle that we haven't seen before, which is called the Jet Beast.
Well, I mean, we saw it in the reveal of it on the Borderlands show, but we only saw like the model for it. We didn't get to see the movement or anything.
Right.
The movement on it is sick.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like the boats from the Scarlet DLC.
Yes, exactly.
But
that's
like
exactly what I thought.
a little bit tighter and everything like that, and they have kind of similar weapons with like the dual mounted guns and everything.
Which like I know that the on the playthrough they were only like level 40 or whatever, but those guns were ripping shit up.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see if that's a multi-person vehicle or if it's just like one person.
So I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah, it looks like it's big enough to where you could probably have at least one other person in it. So I'm excited to see what it is. But it looks like a new vehicle. It's pretty cool. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Next thing is the music. Music sounds real good. Lots of kind of what you would expect from a Western themed thing. You know, a lot of slow guitars and stuff like that. Kind of. I don't. I don't want to phrase it like that. Okay, but like, this soundtrack sounds like it's aspiring to be the soundtrack from Bastion.
that's a good point. So I like that, and it's kind of yes, it is very Western and kind of folksy themed, but it's like that plus some other stuff going on with it that makes it sound really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So, along with that, we have the narrator who's going to be narrating several things going on. We're not sure of the extent of the narration. We're not sure if it's going to be helpful or if it's just going to be only during the main and side missions or what it's going to be. It sounds really good, though, and as Drew pointed out, the narrator sounds like Roger Miller. If you don't know who Roger Miller is, if you ever watched the animated Robin Hood that Disney put out a long time ago,
1973.
yeah, 1973. He was the narrator for that, or the rooster in that, like the bard rooster that the rooster.
The Lutster.
I was trying to say lute and rooster at the same time. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bard like rooster who was playing the lute, and that's who that was. It was an old time country artist. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Roger Miller sang King of the Road.
yep. So yeah, it sounds like that. It sounds really cool. It's very fitting for what it is. So I like it.
Like I only there's only a little bit of the narrator that you get to hear, but I'm super into that because he's like spoilers, I guess. I mean, we don't really know what's going on, but like he you like transition to this new area and there's like fireworks going off and he's like, word of the sheriff's demise got around to all the bandits in the valley. It's just like super. I fucking dig the shit out of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it works really well.
Speaking of which,
Speaking of something else we dig.
yeah, the environment looks wicked. It's all so it's a Western, but all the buildings and everything that we've been able to see are all I'm not gonna say Japanese, but like East Asian themed.
Yeah.
Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, whatever you want to, in that realm. Just general Asian architecture, which is cool as fuck when you pair it up with like a Western themed thing. Think like Seven Samurai and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Super super cool. I'm so in on that.
Yeah. One of the things that I like the most is that you do have, so it does have that Western vibe where it's got lots of kind of rocky hills and plateaus and things like that. And, everything is very kind of dusty and arid looking, almost as if you're looking at Borderlands 1 type landscapes. And then it's contrasted by the background having these like giant, large mountains that are back there, like snow-capped mountains and everything. And then
yeah, it looks like Xylorgos in the background, and and old school Pandora in the foreground with East Asian,
influences.
Architecture.
Yeah. And
Nuts.
the other cool thing too then is that the landscape. So that's the Western part of it, and then with the buildings and everything, that's obviously more East Asian part of it. But then the other cool thing is that the plants that are in there, there's a lot of bonsai trees and things like that too. So that kind of feeds into it. So it feels like they did a good job of combining those types of things together, and I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting, and we're not sure how it's going to work yet entirely. So there's these crystals that are a big part of the storyline, and you go through a cave that's got these crystals. The locals call it core. And at least that's what it sounds like to us, CORE, core. So, and that has fueled some kind of industry that's been going on for a while, and core is highly coveted. So one thing we do know is that
Like
at one point,
unobtainium or
Yeah.
any other made up,
Yeah.
mineral.
vibranium.
Yeah.
So going along with that, one of the big things is one of the characters gives you this item called Tech Knuckles, and once he gives you that, you're able to punch these crystal, the core crystals and everything. But the first time you use it, it's kind of interesting because what you do is you punch them, it flies over somewhere, and it hits a wall and explodes. So it's interesting to see how it works. We don't know much more beyond that other than the fact that it's like, hey, it's a highly valuable thing and it's some sort of gameplay mechanic, whether it be for damaging enemies or getting into new places, things like that. So
It looks to me like it's mainly just like, hey, tired of barrels? Punch these rocks instead.
that's actually a really good point. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really just a replacement for that, in my opinion. And it doesn't look like the tech knuckles are something that you need to like equip or like it's going to be in
No.
your inventory or anything. It's going to
Yeah.
work similarly to how when you gain the ability to punch the iridium crystal piles in Borderlands 3. You don't have to do anything for it. It just happens. So
Right.
so yeah, so
Yep.
there's that. One little thing that I'm super I feel so dumb nerding out on this, but you transition into this new area and the font on on the loading screen for the new area is fucking cool.
It really is. And I'll tell you what it makes me think of. It's three things that it makes me think of. So the font is a cool combination of fonts that you would expect in sci-fi movies, Western movies, and then runes, like Nordic runes.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So so that's I don't know why I'm so hyped about that, but it just looks super neat. And it's a very stark thing. Like in any other section of the game, when you transition to a new area, it's got the name of the area in the upper left hand corner and like a picture of the landscape. But here it's like the name of it is like front and it's huge and it's front and center, almost like in a movie.
Yeah, that's
where
what I was thinking too.
When you like transition to a new, I don't know, like in the Bourne movies, it'll be like USA, and just like huge text across there. So, and it kind of gives that vibe, but like with the cool ass font. So,
Right. Yeah. So one of the other things too is, and I'm not sure if this is going to be something going forward. I wouldn't mind if it was, but now that we've got the Guardian Takedown as well, there's like jump pads in there. Jump pads also seem to be a similar form of travel in this one. I like that idea. I don't want it to be overused. Mainly the thing is I don't want, like, every time I go somewhere, I don't want to be like, the only way I can get there is via a jump pad or whatever. So I've got to, like, drive someplace, get out, take the jump pad, get a new vehicle, drive someplace else. Like, I don't want it to feel tedious like that because jump pads are cool, so I don't want them to, like, you know what I'm
keep
saying?
jump pads cool. Don't overuse that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, speaking of which, though, that does make me want to. I kind of forgot to bring up. There were some anointment buffs in this most recent patch, including airborne annoyance. So they've increased the effectiveness of the airborne damage, while airborne damage, critical damage, and fire rate. So that's good. So that'll be helpful for the takedown and for this new DLC coming out. Last thing that we've got to kind of talk about, the enemies, look pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of bummed a little bit. The enemies, honestly, just look like kind of reskins of previous things. Like, there are Saurians in here, but they're just called something different. And there's still human enemies in here, but they say different things. They say more westerny, type things, like this town ain't big enough for the two of us and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was reloading my 6-shooter.
Yeah, exactly. But they're still just, outlaws and psychos and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
All
and
right.
some of them do say the same stuff. Like I heard the whole Lieberman thing, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
Chili recipe dies with me.
right. It'll be interesting to see where that goes, especially because I feel like they did a good job of making the enemies from the last 2 DLCs different. Like they brought back loaders for the first DLC, and quite a few of the enemies in Xylorgos, while they have like human forms, they also have like weird tentacle forms and things like that they can do.
Yeah,
So I
super
feel like
unique.
yeah, I feel like they did a good job of making those different. So I hope that what we saw is just a small taste, and we're gonna get something a little bit different as far as enemies go.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, that's kind of what we've seen so far. That DLC comes out soon, doesn't it? Doesn't it come out like
The 25th of this
Yeah.
month.
yeah? So yeah, that's what's up with that.
So when this releases, it'll be a week from today.
Dang, will it really be that quick already?
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy to think about.
So actually, maybe the next show that we do will be... No, that'll be the one before. We'll have one more show before that.
Mm-hmm. Which will give us a week to go through and see what we think about the DLC and go from there, right?
Yeah, that'll be great.
Cool. For it. And then we may or may not have something special for you guys coming up after that. Spoilers.
We're going to have to talk. I don't remember what we're talking about.
You should definitely remember what's happening shortly after that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what he's talking... Okay, yeah. No. Yeah, I got you now.
So, anyway.
Big dummy face.
Yeah, that's when we show off our new mascot, Vaulty. That's right, not even Vault Boy or anything like that, just Vaulty.
Vaulty. Nice. Real quick, let me talk about these other anointment buffs. Slide fire rates had a bug that it didn't work. Action skill end stuff have been buffed. Fire rate next to mag bonus damage, all that stuff has had damage increases, and auto bear active incendiary damage got a significant buff.
Nice.
All right, that's pretty much it. No going gun because we talked about 6 things earlier today. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you again next week. Good luck and good drops.
Bye.